This episode of Spectre Sound Studios is brought to you by DistroKid. Get your music online to the world today. All right, everybody, how's it going? It's Friday morning. Hope you're going to have an amazing weekend. Time to get it started early with a nice little round of SMG viewers' comments. The show I've been doing week after week, year after year, because I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear the questions. I want to hear what bothers you. I want to hear what makes you butthurt. Mainly, though, I want to hear from you. If there's a comment or a question you have and I can answer it, I'll try and do that and hopefully be able to help some people along the way as well. Let's get right to it.
I think I'm a great producer. The problem is definitely the interface.
Yeah, I gotta agree, man. That's something that just plagues modern music. There's so many great mixes out there. There's so many great songs, and it's all just brought down by cheap interfaces.
Have you ever owned a Gibson?
Yes, Grandpa Jams. Yes, indeed. I have owned a Gibson. I spent the money and got the Dave Mustaine signature Gibson Flying V, and I was almost as disappointed as your wife was the first time she ever saw your wiener.
Made in America is synonymous with top-notch quality in 1965. Now Made in America is synonymous with a massive ego stroke, being ripped off, high-priced, low-quality legacy brand. It doesn't matter what country a product is made in. What matters is the quality of the product. This also includes products made in China. If the product is of good quality and does the thing, who cares where it's made?
I think that's a great question. Why don't you guys answer that for me? What matters more, the quality of the product or where it's made? You tell me. Leave a comment below.
I've always been fascinated with the mix on Peace of Mind, especially how well the guitars sit in the mix. After years of studying the production on the album and my own trial and error, I discovered that the guitars on that album are very, very lean. For reference, if I set the bass knob to one on my little DS-L20 through a pair of 1x12s, that is roughly in the ballpark, but still maybe just a touch more bass than on the album. If that's important, we have to compact guitars in order to place them in the mix. Why is this not common knowledge, and why are we chasing the wrong end of the spectrum? Bigger cabs, more thump, more bass, etc., which leads to nothing but muddy mixes, which may require aggressive high passing to clean up the mess. But note also the most pros advise a high pass around 80 Hz, which does absolutely nothing to clean up muddy tone resulting from typical guitar amp settings.
Dude, a lot of really great questions in there. You know, I like where you're going with that. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily think it was 1x12s. I'm pretty sure Maiden was recording on 4x12s back in the day. I could be wrong, but, you know, hey, there are things. I mean, but the thing is, the bigger cab thing does work to a certain extent. I mean, like, you put on, say, Carcass Heartwork. Incredible guitar tone on that record. It just sounds absolutely massive. And it turns out one 4x12 wasn't big enough for those guys. They took two 4x12s identical, took the backs off them, put them back to back, like duct taped them together, took the speakers out of one of them and like filled it in with plywood and shit like that. So they basically had a 4x12 that was twice as deep as a normal one. It sounded absolutely fucking massive. Go put on the song No Love Lost. You guys have got Spotify and whatnot. You know, go look up Carcass No Love Lost. Crank the fuck out of that. Sounds huge. No bass issues with that either. So that leads me to believe the issue isn't necessarily the size of the cabinet, but it probably has something more to do with the acoustics of the room that the guitar is being recorded in. Myself in particular, I had all kinds of bottom end issues with my guitars, you know, having to shovel out the bottom end because it was just so bassy and so boomy, and it drove me insane. It was a huge problem in my last studio. When I moved in here, I noticed I had a bit of a problem with it as well. Not nearly as much, but it was still really boomy, really bassy, and gave me a lot of trouble until I put in bass traps out in my drum room where my cabinets are, and then all of a sudden the bass problems went away. So that might very much have something to do with your room acoustics as opposed to the size of your cabinet. So I would suggest doing that, because what happens is when we don't have any kind of bass traps going on, the bass will bounce around the room in and out of phase, and it will actually, you know, emphasize certain frequencies because we get a buildup because the frequencies aren't going away. The reason the Iron Maiden guitars sound great and because the bass is so great on those is because it's probably recorded in a top of the line studio with a much larger room where there aren't going to be anywhere near the issues with the bottom end than there would be in a small room. This is a principle I'm going to be putting to the test. When I was in Vienna, I actually got to do a recording with Lewitt. And we did exactly that. We took a guitar cabinet and put it into 5 different acoustic environments and ran the exact same clips through all these different spots. We were in the studio, but we also went into a bathroom, the CEO's office, a stairwell, and even a rooftop to hear what's going on, to see if there's any bass being reflected back And we also did a room mic as well to see what's going on. I think I'm even going to make the files available for download on that one. So if you're very curious about room acoustics and how it will even affect your close mics, you don't want to miss that episode. Once again, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell so you guys will know when that video comes out. But if you're miking guitar cabs, that's a video you are not going to want to miss. Had a lot of fun doing it. It was exhausting, and I actually had to take a break from that video to go shoot another one because Berth was in the studio that day as well. We got a cool tutorial coming up on miking acoustics. Think you guys are going to like that one as well. Stay tuned. If you're releasing music to the world, you need DistroKid. I've been using them since 2015 and they kick ass. If you want to get your tracks out to Apple Music, Amazon, Google Play, and Spotify, and even 150 smaller sites, then cough up a whopping $22.99 a year and you can keep 100% of your earnings. DistroKid also has tons of cool features like Spotify Hyperfollow for more followers, change your image on Apple Music and iTunes, and you can add credits and liner notes too. You can now list musicians, contact info, social media profiles, and hundreds of other roles. And what's really cool, there's now a mobile app so you can upload your music on the go, track your stats, and track your earnings too. DistroKid Splits allows you to pay your collaborators automatically by percentage so you can concentrate on making music instead of learning how to be an accountant. You can change your splits, plus add or remove collaborators at any time, and collaborators even get a 50% discount on their own DistroKid account. There's 3 levels of plans available: Musician, Musician Plus, and even one for labels. Sadly, there's no bass player, only one. They did make it simple enough for anybody to follow. I use DistroKid to put my music online, including this channel's theme song, The Eagle Has Landed, and I even got a license through DistroKid for that cover of Moon on the Water that we did a while back. And that's one of my favorite features: easy cover song licenses. What are you doing watching me? Get over to distrokid.com/VIP/Spectre today and grab yourself a 7% discount on your first year. DistroKid's the easiest way to get your music out to the world. Follow the link in the description below. Now back to the show.
As helpful as your channel is and all the knowledge you have, I still think your personality is like nails on a chalkboard, so good.
Oh, yes, that's in response to my video. This could end my channel, talking about the whole CRTC debacle. So good that my channel might end. Hey, man, thanks so much for writing in. I really appreciate that. I hope something you love catches on fire.
Oh, and tell my wife how a credit card works. She doesn't understand.
Mark, love you, man. Are you sure you want me to bring your wife into this conversation? The last time I did that was probably in like 2019, and it was about a guy whose wife wasn't letting him turn a room into a mixed position. And so I called her out on it, and apparently there were tears involved and some threats were made, and he unsubscribed, and he was very, very, very pissed off about that. So I proceed with caution. Even if you bring your wife into the subject and the material, chances are you're going to be very offended by what I have to say. How dare you insult my wife? Well, you were dumb enough to mention her. That's how that works. So guys, please, if you don't want your wife insulted, don't bring her into the conversation. Credit cards are simple. If you don't have the money, don't fucking spend it, dumbass! Simple.
My humble opinion, the difference between different woods, however, our minds tend to exaggerate the difference for some people more than others, but I do believe the majority of the perceived difference is created with the mind, obviously so much so that people justify spending thousands of dollars for the difference their minds perceive. Herein lies the crux. It is that process, our mind receiving information from the universe around us, that makes up our reality. And our perception can be verified through objective scientific methods of measuring. What does that matter to us if we're not going around all day with testing equipment and methods used to test? No, we really do not. To the individual perception, it is indeed reality, so here we are.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. By that logic, if we just follow that, we have to bring in the fact that some people think angels are real. And those people are fucking stupid too.
13 minutes, 10-second in, people will pay for weddings. I'm laughing so much in recognition because I was lucky enough to break into broadcast TV, and even here, where many of us can make a decent enough living, we don't earn as much as people who do weddings.
Dude, that's the truth. Seriously, if you're a musician and you want to play professionally, you want to make money of this shit, guess what? It's not going to be in a metal band. You want to make money, go play in a wedding band. People, for some stupid fucking reason, still spend money on weddings, even though 50% of marriages are all doomed to fail. I mean, like, it's just fucking numbers at this point. Marriage doesn't work in modern fucking society. Big surprise there. But people still stupidly spend money on it in some dim hope that their marriage is actually going to fucking work. But yeah, seriously, if you're in a video, do weddings, and if you want to play music, do weddings. I know a guy who works in a wedding band, and he makes a fucking fortune. So there is that. Play guitar in a wedding band. Take all that money, invest in gear so you can record your metal album on the side. That's a winning career move right there.
Hey Glenn, I hope you answered this one. You said never turn down paid work to the guy that recorded rappers and old country players. I was wondering, have you ever produced or recorded any hip-hop or genres outside your comfort zone? If so, how was the experience as a metal producer? Love your videos. Fuck you, Glenn.
I did one rap project. This is, when the home studio thing was still really early in the Windsor scene. So I did one, and it wasn't pleasant. Rappers are pretty fucking clueless when it comes to song arrangements and just how music fits together and whatnot. Lots of attitude, though. And another guy came along who does way better at rap than me. I'm like, have at it. The other genre I did a lot of work in was Celtic music. And that was actually a lot of fun because those guys can usually play. And I even got to do a country record once. That was a lot of fun too because we got to do, like pedal steels and all that kind of shit. And as an engineer, that's where it gets interesting when you're not doing the same thing constantly all the time. It can actually be a lot of fun. The Celtic records I have very fond memories of working on though because they had all these really cool traditional Irish instruments which were great. And the guys who were in the bands were all born into it so they could really play. And their gigs paid money as well so they could afford studio time. It's a win-win for everybody.
So every drummer needs to do rim shots. Then everybody does rim shots. Where's the diversity? Try something new, different. Drummers, follow yourself. Not everybody is going to like your sound technique style. Live with that. Want to sound like everyone else doing rim shots all the time? Next.
Hey, Rogelio, I gotta say, that's a really stupid fucking observation, actually. Here's the thing about rim shots, nobody plays them the same way. So here's the thing, we did a video a few years ago called Is the Drum Sound in the Hands? And guess what? It actually is. You try and get 4 drummers to play the same beat, they're all going to play it differently. And they're all gonna hit the snare just slightly different and have their own sound. As long as you don't replace everything with samples, it's real easy for a drummer to stand out on his own. Maybe you should try that. Try recording drums without samples. Oh, what's that all about?
Glenn, help! I'm currently in a debate on a Les Paul group, and I heard the biggest piece of guitarist nonsense I've ever heard. A few of the cork sniffers on Grover versus Cluson. Their input is that the difference in weight between the two and impact on tone.
Well, duh! Of course it's the tuners!
Hey, thanks man for this video. I was on the hunt for a set of backups and wandering and overwhelmed by all the hype and knowing which to invest my hard-earned money. I will not be spending $50 to $100 on 12AX7s or AU7s or whatever the fuck they want to call them. $20 JJs from Amazon. Thanks man, you saved me a whole lot of bread.
Yeah, that's the one thing places like the tube store don't want you considering is the fact that you plug a tube into an amp, it's gonna sound the same as the next much more expensive brand. There isn't gonna be some fundamental tone shift. That's not how fucking tubes work. If they make the amp sound differently, then they're not in spec and can't be called that type of tube. The only time a tube is going to make a difference if it's malfunctioning. Now, granted, maybe the more expensive ones might last longer. That remains to be seen. I haven't seen any tests proving that, but that's the claim anyway. Pretty short on evidence. Much like how changing your tubes out will change your guitar sound in any kind of fundamental way. Glad you saved some money, man. Thanks for not falling for the hype. Thanks for not digging in your heels and actually listening to the fucking test and going, oh, fuck, this really doesn't make a difference.
Hello, big fan, a long-time subscriber here. Can you recommend a budget preamp under $500 if possible with line-level ins and outs that I can use to add harmonics saturation to my tracks? I don't record vocals, I just needed something to add to my mix bus. Thanks.
Yes, the Cranbourne Camden preamps actually have their Mojo knob, which is like a saturation circuit, and they've got line inputs as well, so those will probably fit the ticket. They come in 500 series, but I think they've got like a 19-inch rack as well. Now, if you've got a 500 series lunchbox, you're in luck. I think the rack Camdens are going to cost you quite a bit more. The Camdens themselves, I know, are under $500 each. Definitely worth taking a look at, especially because I think they're stepped, aren't they? Yes, they are. Fucking great little preamps. Definitely recommend checking them out. Cranbourne just builds absolutely incredible stuff. Definitely worth taking a look at. Good luck. And by the way, thanks so much for subscribing for all this time. I really do appreciate it.
Could you do a video on offering video production along with audio production, or would that be too much? I'm about to graduate college with an associate degree in applied science specializing in video production. Along the way, I got a certificate in audio production.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's something I need to do at some point. Something called Why Your Recording School Sucks, because this is the thing. I talk to a lot of audio grads or kids who are in audio school and they say, hey, Glenn, I want to come work in your studio. And the first thing I say is, great, what are your video skills? And they give me the look like deer in the headlights. It's like, what? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I'm a fucking sound engineer. I don't need a sound engineer. I need kids who can edit video. I need people who can set up lights and run camera, that kind of shit, who can, get the audio levels and make sure everything's being recorded correct. That's the skills that are needed now. The traditional recording studio has gone right out the fucking window. I don't know why these audio schools haven't clued into this yet. It's like we've moved from straight up audio production to online production. That means audio and video. Sooner the audio schools learn that, the better, I think. And I think they really need to start offering that. So yes, full-length video coming on that real soon. Thanks for the suggestion.
Very good positive suggestions, RE education, video production, and literacy.
Of course, you're referencing that CRTC video I did there a few weeks back, just like Mr. Butthurt of the Week does. But that was the thing. I wanted to put a positive spin on what could be a dire situation and show that, yeah, it is possible to make things better in a way that works for everybody, not just the elites at the top. And that really comes down to what's being offered in terms of education in our high schools. I've been thinking about this. Maybe this is something I should, offer or put on the show at some point. Maybe a little fucking primer in social media ethics. Would that be something you guys be interested to see? Maybe you can, if you've got younger people in your family, you can make them watch it and say, hey, look at this. This is a little guide about what's appropriate to post, what's not appropriate to post. I mean, it's like public officials, home addresses, not a good idea, but calling them out by name, absolutely. That's why they're public officials. Their name is public. But you can definitely go too far with these things, and it's real easy to go too far. If you're not careful, you can get yourself in trouble. Rule number 1, don't take naked pictures of yourself ever, and don't share those or with somebody you even trust. For confirmation on that, look what happened to David Ellefson from Megadeth.
I live in the States, and I think it's interesting that, though, through YouTube's natural algorithm, I've found a large number of incredible Canadian content creators. I'm getting sick of so many governments getting so nationalistic about a technology that helps the world communicate.
Bravo, dude. I couldn't have said that better myself. That's a wonderful analogy. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you so very much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Don't forget to check out DistroKid. They've been a longtime sponsor of the show, and for good reason. They're just simply the best option to get your music out to the world. I work with them all the time. I think they're fantastic. They're what I use to put my music out. Links are in the description below, all that good stuff. And if you guys want to check out an awesome video, I did a stealth buy on a Harley Benton cab to see what kind of quality we'll get and what I would get as the consumer, not as a YouTuber. It's definitely a video you want to check out, especially if you're in the market for a cabinet that may or may not fit your budget. You can follow that right here. Thanks again for watching, and please, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.